Well, folks, they told you to panic. They told you that your 401k was done. They said, hey, they said Florida was finished. They said that housing was crashing. Another stimulus was your only hope. But guess what, guys? They lied. And the American people, they just flipped the script, guys. You got Jim Cramer out here. He was predicting a Black Monday meltdown. That was wrong. The media screamed economic collapse, but what happened instead? Well, what happened instead is that the markets did the exact opposite. In fact, it's what smart investors are quietly waiting for. Smart investors are quietly waiting for a sale on America's future. Now, in today's video, I want to share with you guys how Americans, especially in places like Florida, essentially ignored the panic. They skipped the headlines and they turned to a they turned a so-called crisis into a once-in-a-decade opportunity. Now, we're going to go ahead and dive into this, guys. We're going to talk about why the stimulus fear was weaponized, why housing isn't collapsing. It's not going to collapse in Florida. It's not. In fact, it's exploding. And we're also going to talk about why the next market move could be the biggest boom of our lifetimes. Now, if you guys appreciate the updates, the news updates, hit the like button for me. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate you guys' support. We're out here in sunny Florida right now. It's beautiful out here. Now, guys, this isn't just about stocks. It's about lies. It's about manipulation and the battle for your future wealth. So grab a seat, guys, because once you hear what really happened and what's coming next, you'll never trust this recession talk again. You remember that whole Nancy Pelosi panic that backfired? How about the Florida housing surge that the media is ignoring? How about Jim Cramer's latest fail? Stimulus cash. Who's really winning? Well, guys, stay tuned because this is not just a market story, guys. In fact, this is a war on your mindset. And the American people, we're winning. They said recession. They said collapse. They told you to take your stimulus check and hide under the bed because the markets were done for. But what they didn't tell you was that they were the ones that are playing the panic game, the financial elites. Let me go ahead and cross the street here, guys. Florida coast here, guys. Matter of fact, let me flip that camera. Man, it's beautiful out here, isn't it? You got the whale's tail here. Got the beautiful white sands. Girls are playing volleyball out there. Hardly gets any better, does it? Well, they're trying to tell you that the market has collapsed. Do you believe them? I don't believe them. Well, what they didn't tell you was that they were the ones that are playing the panic game, guys. They're playing the panic game. The financial elites, the media talking heads, the hedge fund suits, and yes, even Jim Cramer himself, they're all doing it. You see, guys, every time we get real close to a real opportunity in the market, suddenly it's Black Monday 2.0, or it's the next Great Depression, right? And so who's pushing the fear here? I mean, it's not your neighbor in Florida who's quietly scooping up discounted housing. It's not the blue-collar worker who's using their stimulus to invest instead of spend. No, it's actually the same group of people, same group of elites who have been wrong about everything. Jim Cramer, the guy who's become the market unofficial contrarian indicator. I mean, does anyone even listen to Jim Cramer anymore? Can he be trusted? Like, can his market direction and predictions be trusted? Comment down below, guys. If he says sell, people buy at this point. If he predicts a crash, buckle up for a rally. And I'm not joking, guys. We saw it. We definitely saw it, and we see it very often. You know, Jim Cramer, he goes on air trembling about an impending disaster. Then he compares it to 1987, Black Monday all over again. And then what happens the very next day? The market stabilizes. People stop selling fear. And hey, real quick tip for you guys, you're gonna thank me for this. I went looking for a place that would really help you out with Medicare, and guess what? Chapter absolutely knocked it out of the park. So if you or someone you love is on Medicare or turning 65 soon, don't try to figure it out alone. Chapter's team of experts will help you find the right place. They're gonna make sure your doctors are covered, and they will check to see if you qualify for extra benefits. How cool is that? They even look at every single plan in your area, not just a few. And they save the average senior $1,100 a year. Guys, $1,100 a year in savings? And the best part, it's totally free. No pressure, just real human help. So give my friends at Chapter a call at 909-563-8279 or click the link in the description down below this video. Medicare is complicated, I get it, but getting the help you deserve doesn't have to be. We gotta stop doing this. You cannot sell in fear. This is how folks lose their butts. This is how they lose money. The market stabilizes. People need to stop selling in fear, because whenever stocks are being sold, we have to remember that someone is always on the buying end, okay? And savvy investors are buying right now. They're buying these stocks at heavy discounts. And this is not financial advice. This is common sense. That's the level of disconnect that we're dealing with right now. Man, look at these views. And so they don't want you thinking long term. They want you to be reactive, to be afraid. They want your stimulus gone, your Florida dream crushed, and your house off the market. They are turning up, aren't they? But you know better, and the data is about to prove you right. Now, of course, what we really need to talk about is what really caused the panic in the first place. We need to understand, was this rational? Was it real? Or was it just emotional manipulation at scale? So let's talk about the market panic versus the market reality. And of course, President Trump's economic vision versus Biden's market bubble, which is happening next. And trust me, guys, this is where it gets really good. In fact, stick with me, because we're about to flip this whole narrative on its head. So, all right, let's talk about, let's get to the heart of the fear, right? The media said the economy was collapsing, right? The housing in Florida was about to implode, right? This is what they said. This is what we're seeing. That your stimulus check would not be enough to buy eggs, let alone secure your future. This is what we were told. Well, for a moment, even smart people got scared. But was the panic real? Or was it another orchestrated emotional sell-off like we've seen time and time again? Now, let's be honest, guys. This wasn't about fundamentals. The data was solid. March reports came out, and what did we see? Not a collapse, but strength. Private sector job growth, it was solid. Unemployment, it barely ticked up. Housing, Florida's markets did not crash. Florida's markets got more competitive. Stimulus money, well, it's not vanishing. It was fueling investments in local economies, guys. So what actually happened? Well, unfortunately, people got emotional. They let CNN and MSNBC convince them that the tariffs meant doom, that Trump's trade war would ultimately end the economy as we knew it. But in reality, guys, it was a shakeout. It wasn't a shutdown. It was a moment of correction, not destruction. It was a reset after what, 2 years of Biden-fueled artificial growth built on debt and printed dollars. But let's talk about that for a second. The Biden years were not growth. They just weren't. They were a speculative bubble at best. They were built on stacking stimulus on top of debt, on top of more government manipulation. PE ratios, they were out of control. Companies with no profits, they were getting sky-high valuations. Were they not? Take a look at this helicopter overhead. It was bound to pop eventually, right? Not because of Trump, not because of tariffs, but because you cannot cheat the market forever, guys. You just can't. And so now here comes Trump with his vision that's long overdue. End the manipulation, stop the money printing, restructure trade to essentially benefit America first. This is what we need. This is what we voted for. Put the stimulus where it counts. Put it where it counts. Into real jobs, real production, real assets. And what do we see? Well, we see a lot. We see people in places like Florida taking that stimulus money, not blowing it, but investing it. People are not running scared. They're out here buying homes. They're buying stocks. They're betting on the American economy when it's on sale. This is what they're doing. That's not recession behavior, guys. That's not a collapse. That's a nation that's waking up. But let's go even deeper than that, guys, because it's a lot. There's a lot more here. We got to break down the real truth about the stock market corrections. Why what you just witnessed wasn't the beginning of the end. In fact, it was actually the start of something bigger. We're also going to pull back the curtain on tariffs and trade, and we're also going to reveal how they're actually setting up for an American comeback in industries that nobody in the media wants you to see. Now, trust me, guys, you're about to hear this. What you're about to hear in this next part, you're not going to believe. In fact, we're not done flipping the script yet. In fact, let's talk numbers. The market dropped around, 17% from its peak, and the media lost its mind. They straight up lost their ever-loving mind, guys. And they called it a bloodbath. They called it a disaster. You know, some people were whispering, oh, crash, market crash. Other people were screaming recession. I mean, that's what you heard, right? But here's the truth that no one wants to tell you. This was a normal, healthy correction. Markets do this roughly every 18 months or so, give or take, right? Up to 20% drops are routine. Now, we don't see 20% drops every day. We don't see 20% drops every single year, but we do see them. It's not a reason for you to dump your stocks, for you to burn your stimulus check, or for you to sell your house in Florida in a panic. And yet, Wall Street elites, and of course the cable news fearmongers, they tried to make you think that this was the end. They tried to turn a dip into a disaster. But why? Because when you sell in fear, they buy in bulk, and they get to buy your stuff at a discount. Why? Because you're panicking, and you're willing to sell your stuff at whatever price someone will take it from you. You're just so happy to get out of, you're just so happy to stop the bleeding, you'll take whatever you can get. But this is textbook emotional manipulation, and unfortunately, some folks fell for it. They lost millions. Some people didn't have millions. Some people just lost hundreds or thousands. Simple fact of the matter is that every weak hand created an opportunity, a buying opportunity for the smart investors. Because when you sell in fear, they buy in bulk. So again, you know, this is textbook emotional manipulation here, guys. And some people fell for it, but millions did not. Millions saw the correction for what it was: a discount, a clear rack. Basically, they racked up on American companies that are now being positioned. They're actually better positioned than before. Some of these American companies, some of these companies are in a phenomenal position. And because people got scared, they gave away their great position. It's kind of sad though. But what's even sadder is what's actually coming next. So let's get to the elephant in the room, the tariffs. Oh boy, I know. Did they weaponize that word or what, right guys? So, and we've seen this time and time again. This is not the first time. The moment President Trump hit back with new tariffs, they said it would wreck the economy. They said it would destroy trade. They said it would jack up prices, it would collapse housing, and it would ultimately kill Florida's economy. Because it's always Florida, right? It's crazy. But if you think about it, instead of destruction, what are we actually seeing, guys? We're seeing stronger negotiations. We're seeing new positioning. We're seeing, and more importantly, we're seeing realignment. And this isn't about raising prices. It's about leveling the playing field. And when we finally force countries, cities like Beijing, Vietnam, and others to play fair, well, guess who wins? The American worker. The American worker wins. The American factory, the American investor wins. So let me break it down even more clearly, guys. These tariffs were never permanent. They were never supposed to be permanent. Over 50% will likely be negotiated down or eliminated within 6 months. I mean, heck, all these other countries have to do to make life easier on everyone, because all markets are crashing, right? We're in a global economy now. All they have to do is remove their tariffs and we'll remove ours. Plain and simple. And what happens when that happens, right? Well, expect an economic snapback like we have never seen before, or at least an economic snapback that we haven't seen in decades. And if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking, well, I'll wait and see, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's probably gonna be too late. It's probably gonna be too late. By the way, if you guys haven't already, in the description down below, join our newsletter, breaking news newsletter. It's totally free. There's a link in the description down below. Join the breaking news newsletter. You'll get the latest updates as soon as they come out. You do not want to miss this. So definitely hit the link in the description down below, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, and if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're thinking, hey, well, I'll just wait and see. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys right now. I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's probably going to be too late. Because savvy people, savvy investors in Florida, across the country, they're already buying up homes. They're investing their stimulus wisely. And they're getting ahead of the boom. So here's a teaser that you've been waiting for. We're going to be digging into the real economic indicators that absolutely prove that this economy is not collapsing. Okay? It's actually just rebalancing. And why consumer confidence and patriotic investing are about to flip the market upside down in the best way possible. Now, you guys always hear me say, keep some dry powder. I mean, we're within the realm of some of the greatest opportunities in the next coming weeks and months. I'm just saying. So stick around, guys, because what we're about to talk about next could change the way that you see this entire financial picture. I mean, really. And so let's talk about the actual data, not fear-mongering headlines. Because why the media is shouting about collapse, while financial elites are whispering recession and, behind their wine glasses in Manhattan, right? The real economic indicators, they're telling a very different story, okay? And so don't listen to mainstream media. Remember the March reports? Surprisingly bullish. Unemployment, a small uptick, but nowhere near crisis levels. Jobs, massive gain in the private sector. I mean, this isn't government fluff, guys. It's just not. Real work, real gains, real paychecks. That's what we're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen. And housing, well, they said that Florida was on the verge of a collapse. They said rising interest rates would kill the housing market. But what are we actually seeing? Well, I think we're seeing demand is clearly very strong still. Inventory is very low. If inventory is very low, then clearly the demand is there. Families are still moving to Florida in droves. Sure, there are people who are leaving Florida. Sure, there are people who are selling their homes and moving out of Florida. But that would happen in any market. But the thing is you're not seeing the housing prices crash. So clearly the demand is still in place. It's still strong. Inventory is low. Families are still moving to Florida in droves because people want freedom. People want sunshine, and they want a shot at prosperity. Who doesn't want a shot at prosperity? And of course, stimulus money? Well, the stimulus money didn't just disappear. It's still out there, guys. In fact, the stimulus money, in many cases, it's sitting in savings accounts. It's sitting in investment portfolios. It's sitting in Florida real estate. So, you know what this means? People didn't panic. They waited. They watched. When the market dipped, they bought. Because here's the truth that the media will not tell you. Patriotic investing is real. This isn't just about the numbers, guys. This is about faith. Faith in America. Faith in the idea that when the elites sell fear, the people buy hope. I think it's pretty simple. And I've spoken to folks in Florida, in Texas, even up north, who didn't fall for the panic. Now, one guy I know, he had $40,000 saved for a home renovation. When the market dipped, you know what he did? He paused that project. You know what else he did? He bought the dip because he believes in America. He believes that this isn't the end, it's actually the rebirth. That's the story the headlines won't cover because they're not afraid of the market collapsing. They're afraid of you waking up and realizing that you're not behind. You're just getting started. So what we also need to talk about is we need to go deep into the mindset of the investor, like how emotional panic is costing people fortunes and how the calm, logical approach is quietly building a new class of wealth. And then, of course, guys, we're going to talk about jobs. We're going to talk about manufacturing and what's really coming next for the American class, for the American middle class. Now, you're going to want to hear this. You're not going to want to miss this. So if you haven't already, be sure to click the little like button down below and subscribe to the channel. All right, guys. So let's talk strategy here, okay? Because this right here separates the winners from the worriers. And worrying doesn't get you anything. All it does is it impairs your ability to think logically. So we don't want to do that. You lose money when you're not thinking logically, okay? You can build wealth and get rich when you think intelligently and logically. All right, so when the headline screamed, recession, recession, right? When Jim Cramer was practically sweating on live TV, when he was talking, when the talking heads were warning your stimulus money was about to evaporate, some people sold everything. They bought the lie. They panicked. They watched their portfolios drop and they ended up locking in their losses. Hey, take a look at their going overhead again. Beautiful beach setting, huh? Gotta love it out here. But yeah, so when the headlines were screaming recession, when Jim Cramer was practically sweating on live TV, when the talking heads warned your stimulus money was about to evaporate, guys, some people panicked and they sold everything. They ended up watching their portfolio drop. They effectively locked in their portfolio losses by doing that. But here's the hard truth. You can't lose money unless you sell. A lot of folks don't realize that. Oh, I've lost so much money in the stock market. Did you see what the stock market did? Oh my God, I lost $40,000 this afternoon. Well, technically you didn't. Not unless you sold. Now, if you sold, all bets are off. If you sold, then you actually did lose money, right? But you can't lose money unless you sell. And this is not this is not some slogan, guys. This is a principle. Meanwhile, the folks who stayed calm, the ones who thought long term and they actually stayed in the game, well, those are the folks that are actually recovering. You know, some people are already winning, and guess what? Guess what? People like me, we continue to earn dividends. We are continuing to earn the dividends of the companies, of the stocks that are paying dividends in spite of what the market is doing. So some people are still getting paid and making money whether the market's up or down. So that's the cold hard truth of it. Now, a lot of those people, of course, you know, everyday Americans, from anywhere from Texas to the Midwest, the housing market boom in Florida is absolutely ridiculous right now. And, you know, this isn't just about being a Wall Street genius. This is about understanding one simple truth. Markets go up and markets go down. All right? And history shows that if you stay consistent, if you stay logical, that buying and holding can typically be one of your simplest, easiest strategies to execute and actually come out ahead. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, guys. There's just way too many people who let the media think for them. They listen to people like Rachel Maddow. You know, they're following whatever Harry Sison tweets. They make emotional decisions off of headlines that were crafted in order to bait their fear and not inform their strategy. So that's not investing, guys. That's reacting. That's not wealth building. That's sabotage. Because while they were out there panic selling stocks, they bought, think about it. While they're out here panic selling stocks that they bought back in 2021, other people are out here using stimulus leftovers to grab housing in Florida. Or, you know, when maybe they're buying when prices dipped. Or they're investing in companies that are now repositioned for the global dominance under the new trade deals. So it's all these different things. But that's the biggest difference between fear and freedom. And between losing it all and owning the future. Now, if you haven't already, you don't have to face this alone. You don't have to face this alone. You don't have to feel like, you know, you're all by yourself. Join like-minded people like myself in our Liberty Pursuit Network. There's a link in the description down below, guys. Click the link, join the group. I'd love to have you guys over there. But yeah, we are embarking across one of the biggest opportunities here in America. And no one's talking about it. And the reason why no one's talking about it is because the wealthy, the rich, they're taking advantage of the situation. They are behind, we're talking about the George Soros of the world. They are behind some of this economic collapse that they've been promoting for the longest. They control the media. Well, when you own the media, when you control the media, you control the narrative. So I hope that this information is helpful and valuable to you. If you haven't already, definitely hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.